It's up.
My wife's a fool. You
That
don't
is
know who
not
she
a good
is
example. You
when we're
should
not
not.
online.
You should not influence. You see,
She
the
lost.
verbal assassin.
She loses her mind, and as soon as the lights come on, she snaps right back into
Because
normalcy.
I know how to ebb and flow between fun and serious. I know how to handle my
If you
business.
only knew who she really was.
I'm the one that gives him life.
Good morning, everyone. We are the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani,
And I'm Danielle.
and we come to you every single morning for a great conversation to talk about love, life, relationships. And we're headquarters here in Atlanta, Georgia. That is where the world international headquarters of Couples Academy is, where we do all types of intensives and group coaching sessions and one-on-one sessions, but we're virtual. We work with clients all over the country and all over the world, and so we're happy to have all of you in here today as we have another great discussion. Today, we're talking about relationship Q&A. So if you've got your question, if you're ready to go, post it, and we will get to you in just a second. Be right back. All right.
You caught me off guard with that. You caught me off guard with that gangster beat.
Let's get in this. This is Q&A. Q&A Fridays.
Q&A Friday.
You can
Listen.
ask any question that you want.
Yes, and you know what? I want to just jump in here and say I appreciate you guys for coming on with the questions, because week to week we're like, where are the questions? And actually we had a few in mind to jump into right off the bat, but we don't want to waste any of your time. We have a question we want to go right into, but while you're here, make sure you put your questions in now. And if you're not asking for yourself, ask for somebody else. Ask for your mom, ask for your daddy, ask for your friends, your cousins. Just ask questions. This is your opportunity to get them answered. But first, we want to just welcome a bunch of people. Do you want to go through the scroll? It's easier for you to do it.
Sandy, good morning. Jay, Rochelle,
yes.
Vashawn, Lene, Corliss, JD,
Hey, Corliss.
Janice,
Hey, JD.
Andre, and more are coming in, and we're glad that you're with us. You're the early risers. You're the ones who start out with us fresh. So push
Hey,
subscribe, push share. Let's get this conversation going.
All right, Cassandra says, how can you heal through hurt of a verbal assassin when you see that your hubby has been saturated in his mother's own toxic verbal assassin marinade that keeps showing up in your own relationship? Now, this is a question that's near and dear to my heart because Hassani is a self-proclaimed verbal assassin. He's always saying I reformed, right?
Mhm.
Self-proclaimed verbal assassin. And so what I've discovered over these years is that no matter what I would say it all the time. You're so critical, you're so negative, all these things. He really couldn't hear it. It wasn't until he had to have his own mental, spiritual, emotional pivot or some kind of a transition moment where he recognized his own issues. Because I mean, it would be at the restaurants, it would be with people, anybody do anything wrong, it was like he was going to say something, it was going to be negative, critical, no matter what. And he couldn't see that until there was some moment, and you could share more about that transition.
It was a significant spiritual moment when you told me that I declitterized you.
Oh,
that was it.
That
was the aha, the light came through, and I'm just like, wow, I declitterize. Like I never even heard of the word before. And then I'm like,
and so for those of you that don't know what declitterize actually means, in certain countries in Africa, they would actually cut out the clitoris of the women as some ritualistic practice. And it's a very it's crazy. They don't get any anesthesia. It's a very grueling thing that they do, barbaric, if you ask me. And the reason why I use that word is because when it came to intimacy and feeling connected to Hassani after feeling verbally beat down, not that he ever called me outside of my name or anything like that. He never called me bees. He never called me this or that. However, the criticalness, literally, I felt declitterized. I felt like I could not get emotionally excited. I could not feel any attraction towards him. So I'm like, you know what? You declitterized me. And something about that moment.
That was it for me. And so I made an internal vow within myself what I was and was not going to do. Now, I still criticize her in my head, right? But I didn't form my lips to say anything at the time. But that was the beginning, because then my mind began to submit to what my mouth began to do. And that's when the change happened. So if you're with someone who is a verbal assassin and you've had conversations, I know that it took relationship with God and prayer and then, I mean, truth be told, she put walls up. I mean, it's not like she allowed me to get away with it. It's not like she didn't bring it up. It's not like she didn't shut things down. And so after a while, I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I am doing something and I'm not getting what I want. She's not getting what she wants. So if we're going to be in this thing, we might as well get the most out of it. So changes started to happen in me in certain areas and then within her in certain areas, and then things got better.
Absolutely. Let's go to Vashawn. Vashawn says, has there ever been a situation where you both had to tell a couple that it's best they divorce? Also, do you ever suggest a couple to spend time apart to better the marriage? I mean, I'll let you talk.
I mean, we always say that divorce should not be your first step. It should be your last. We encourage controlled separations. A lot of times people come to us already separated or on the brink of separation, and we walk them through a controlled separation, because when you separate, it's for the purpose of divorcing. When you have a controlled separation, it's for the purpose of finding personal healing and restoration to come back into that relationship. And let me tell you something. Earlier in my career, I was just like, y'all need to, now I wouldn't say it, but I'm thinking, y'all need to get up out of here because it's crazy up in here, right? So I'm like, well, if it is what it is, and I'm like, I'm trying to, hey, if you got to go, if you got to do it.
Yeah.
And then what would happen is sessions would be over. And I remember there was this one couple, one day we went to the movies and I'm like, is that? Like, there's no way that couple's still together. So I have found that when counselors and coaches encourage people to divorce, I have an issue with that. Like, that is something that couple has to own within themselves.
Thank you.
And oftentimes they vacillate, because their mind is saying get out, but their emotions are saying stay in, but the spirit is saying be still, their physical body. I mean, it's all over the place.
You know what? And this is what I was going to say is that I have never actually told somebody you need to divorce. I think the best thing to do is have a systematic Socratic method of questioning so that you come to your own understanding about what you need to do. We lead you to your own decisions based on what's going on and all of that, but it's not for us to tell you what you should or should not do. That's a decision that you need to make, because you're never going to come back to Couples Academy and say, I divorced and you told me to.
At all.
You're not going to get that over here.
Never.
Now, you're going to bring your issues to the table. We're going to deal with those issues, and we're going to lead you to come to your own understanding and make your own choice.
And that's a good point, because we say rather than making the decision now, because any decision you make in your emotions, you're going to regret.
Yeah.
Allow the process we take you through to help make the decision for you, because you're making it out of certainty and clarity.
Absolute. Jackie says, how do you reverse the word curse spoken over your marriage? Well, you know what? You reverse it by speaking the blessings over your marriage, because the word of God is over all, right? Every knee should bow at the power of God. So we know that if we speak the word, which is the life over our marriage, it'll cancel out every curse. Listen, faith works in both ways. You can work it through fear and have faith in that fear, or you can have faith in the hope and the knowledge and the power of God. So it's really about what you do according to somebody putting a curse on you. If you put faith in that curse, now you've accepted that curse, that's what you've done. You need to reverse it in your heart, spirit, and mind, and you can do that through the word of God.
Oh.
All right. Angel says, is there really any way for me to get through to my spouse to work with me to repair our relationship? We are both verbal assassins, and lately it seems like she just doesn't care about anything I do.
Yeah. Been there, done that. We've been there. I would just say consistency. What we've learned is that there are three types of couples who come to us. Couple number one, he wants it, she wants it. Couple number two, one wants it, the other's not sure. Couple number three, one wants it, the other doesn't. So they come in all stages, but the process makes it crystal clear. So, a lot of times people come to us as their last resort. Listen, have you read a book? Have you gone to counseling? Have you done a retreat? Have you gone to a class? Have you done any of those things? If none of those things have been done, listen, let's just do this as our last chance. Like, I know that we're on our way out, but let's just give it one more chance. And if you've done all those things, then let's give this one last chance anyway, because I'd rather...
Knowledge, number, and name.
Isn't this funny? Grab me that right there. This is what happens when you're live, folks. But that's what. All right. So that's what I would encourage you to do, right? Just to say one last chance, one last opportunity. And what you can do is give them our videos. Sometimes that seeds the conversation, because if they have our videos and they know what it is we talk about, they're getting a feel for what we are explaining. And this is what I always encourage you to do. If you want your spouse to join counseling and they're not into it, and you're trying to share a video with ours, don't give them a video that supports your agenda. Give them a video that supports their agenda so that they don't think that you're coming for the purpose of trying to control and manipulate and get what you want without thinking about them. We tried that as a technique and a strategy, and it actually works.
Okay. Fawn is saying, what do you do when your spouse believes that for as long as you two are happy and doing well in the marriage, it's okay for him to have another woman or wife without your knowledge? Here's the deal. Like, when you have somebody that has left the marriage, because technically that is someone leaving the marriage. It doesn't matter if they still have an address with you, still come and lay in the same bed with you. If they are openly telling you, and you are aware that they have another spouse on the outside of this marriage, they have left the marriage. And so now what do you do about that? When you're butting heads and you have completely different opposite ideas of how things should be. Before you make any decisions, you get yourself into some counseling so that somebody can give you wise counsel on how to move forward with that situation. And that's what I suggest with you. Sometimes not all is lost. Sometimes that person just needs to get before some counseling to deal with the issues that they're dealing with so that they can close the marriage. Other times they're just not willing, and you still need counseling for somebody to lead you in the right path.
There it is.
Okay. Jay says, my husband has cheated at least 3 times in our marriage. Can he still love me? Being together since 16, we're now 35.
Yeah, absolutely. This has happened. Like the majority of people who come to us, there have been more than one incident. There's been more than one affair, whether it goes back to dating, the dating season, the beginning of the marriage, whether it's happened sometime in the middle of the marriage. If you go through a process, and that's why we have a video, you will cheat again unless.
Right.
And it talks about the 6 things that you need to do to overcome that addiction, that struggle, that temptation, to get on the right foot and to love you the right way. And let me just say, love is more than a feeling, okay? It is a commitment. It is a dedication. It is a lifestyle that you demonstrate within the context of your marriage. And being unfaithful is not an act of love towards your spouse.
Exactly.
So that's why counseling is necessary.
Yes. Rochelle says, how do you trust after being hurt so many times? And the times after each other is worse than the previous time. How do you even want to be in a marriage where you love the person but don't trust them? What do you do when you don't know what to do?
Well, the reality is trust is not easy, okay? Restoring trust is not easy. It takes time. And so there's no magic wand, magic potion, pill you pop, even prayer you give, unless God supernaturally does something to take over you. Of course, you need the power of God in order to forgive and trust anyway, but it's not a boom, instantaneous thing. It is a process. We say this all the time. Rebuilding trust. Trust is like a light switch and a dimmer all at the same time. When you lose it, you lose it like that, like a light going out. But when you regain it, it's like a dimmer. It takes time. And your partner has to show up as a willing participant. If he or she continues to engage in behavior that is untrustworthy, how can you trust when there's nothing to trust? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And just like Hassan is given that light switch thing and the dimmer thing, it also applies to your endurance, right? When you think about how you're still possibly in this relationship and kind of, you're holding on and you have a measure of hope. If you have just a little drip of hope, you can still go very far. It'll carry you very far. But when you have no more hope left, it is like a switch. And that's when they say the whole saying, when a woman's fed up, there ain't nothing you can do about it. So my thing is, and I believe that all of that endurance comes from the Lord. That strength comes from the Lord. You think about muscle failure, right? Like if you work out, you can work out so much and you can do so many reps until muscle failure. And when there's muscle failure, you cannot lift the weight anymore. And so what I want to say, and I'm saying this to everybody, is that whatever you're going through in your marriage, if you still have the ability to lift the weight, if you're still holding on, that's an indication that you can make it through. But when that muscle fails, that's an indication that there's some serious problems and you may not move forward. And that's when we see it. When we see that muscle failure take place in marriages where the person is just, they don't care anymore. They've moved out. There's nothing you can do about it. And as long as you're not in that place, there's hope.
There it is.
Okay.
Nothing more to say. One more question before we take a quick break.
Sure. Hope says, why do men or women marry multiple times, continue to cheat in the marriage, and hurt more people? If they're going to continue to cheat, why don't they just remain single? Golden question.
Because they love being married. It doesn't mean that they're good at it.
Look at all the benefits of marriage.
I'm saying, some people love companionship. They love being with someone. They love doing life with someone. They just don't know how to do it successfully. They don't know the rules, the laws, the principles that go along with making a marriage successful. They don't. And so, some people are addicted to certain things. And so there's certain benefits that they get from the marriage because a spouse can serve in a multitude of ways. And so many people have this mentality. I'm going to have my main partner here, but I'm going to have my side hustle over here, and I'm going to get the best of both worlds. And so it's a sick, twisted mentality that some people have. But the question is, what were they exposed to? What did they see growing up? What did they experience as children that they've been soaked and saturated in that led to this type of thing? And these are the things that we have to be mindful of. And so if you're going to be married multiple times, if you're going to cheat, just get to the place where you realize, you know what, I'm not doing this thing right. Let me take a pause. Let me become the best version of myself so I can get myself together. Guys, we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
There is an epidemic in our world today concerning marriage. It's not divorce, although that's bad. It's not infidelity, although it's on the rise. The epidemic we are talking about regarding marriage is ignorance. Millions of people are getting married each year, and they have no idea what to do to make the marriage flourish and grow. And we know that God has a place in our marriage, but what does that look like? Whether you've been married for a day, a year, or decades, be assured that there is hope and help for you today that will turn your marriage in the right direction. These well-known relationship experts and authors have devoted their lives to helping couples not only survive the rough patches, but thrive and bloom into something more beautiful than before. You're invited to call now for their book, The Audacity of Marriage, and learn how to overcome common challenges couples face. You'll also receive the DVD series titled The Before, During, and After of an Affair. 3 crucial messages on one DVD dealing with the topic of infidelity and how to prevent it. In addition, you and your spouse will also enjoy individual DVD messages by Hassani and his wife, Danielle. The Marriage Mastermind, The Power of Partnership, teaches how to use the law of agreement to manifest God's best in your life. And Copreneurship, Partnering in Passion and Profit, explores the issues of couples working together at home and work successfully. All of this for a love gift of only $59.99. But that's not all. Hassani and Danielle would like to personally invite you to join them at one of their many nationwide Audacity of Marriage conferences. When you call right now, you will receive 2 tickets valued at $200 each, free. Remember, in almost every marriage, there is a partner suffering from ignorance, and your gift of this book may be just what they need to save their relationship. Call now and get back to the joy of your marriage together. Operators are standing by.
All right, we're back.
Yes.
Let's get it. Let's get into these questions. What do we have coming up?
Sarah, she says, good morning, lovelies. Have you dealt with married couples that have infidelity issues that also is dealing with ancestral bloodline problems and strange acts of witchcraft involvement occurring? Wow, that's deep. And you know what I would say to that is I can't think of a case where somebody actually said those words, but there have been many times when I've thought it. dealing with couples that have generations of broken marriages, generations of unplanned pregnancy, generations of molestation. I mean, the list goes on and on. And these are all things that the word says that these sins, these go down generations. I mean, I don't know, 767 generations that we have to deal with these things. I myself have gone through my own process of releasing and breaking these generational ties. I remember doing this years ago. And so this is something really important for people to understand. And not most folks are not even aware of the spiritual tie and connection to what's going on. I was talking to somebody just the other day, and I was talking about how we know that we are flesh. We are not wrestling with the flesh and blood, but with powers and principles in high places, principalities in high places. And so when you know that, that means that you have the knowledge and you can know how to get your armor on, so how you could fight these things. There's something that I really love. It's by John Eckhart. It is called Prayers That Rout Demons.
Yes.
And when I was going through some stuff in the household with the teens, you know, teen time, things get crazy and didn't know what to do, I started playing the Prayers That Rout Demons, and that stuff is some serious warfare. So if you're dealing with things of that nature, you really do want to get yourself into some good prayer, find some support that deals with that in particular, that it's out there. And get that. John Eckhart, Prayers That Rout Demons.
Powerful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Andre says, is it bad when you both not on the same page spiritually?
Yes.
Well, it's not good.
Yes, it's bad. So we talk about oneness, right? So the Bible says a man shall leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Shall become, meaning that there's a process of becoming one in the spirit. Like when you give your vows and when you consummate your marriage in the spirit realm, you're one. But then there's a process of becoming one in the natural realm, right? So that's intellectual intimacy, that's emotional intimacy, that's sexual intimacy, and then that's a deeper dive into spiritual intimacy. And a lot of times couples are just completely disconnected. They're not together. They're, we just agree to disagree. Well, you're just different and I'm just different, and it is what it is. And so the power of partnership and togetherness means that you're in alignment with each other. And it's a process that you need to work on. And that's why people get the help and tune into this show to figure out how to make tweaks in their relationship.
Yeah. Valada says, please elaborate on when your cheating spouse says that they love you, but not in that way. And I kind of think that's a piggyback on what you're saying. I think a lot of times we begin to fall away from that connection in our relationship. And so, we're married and the marriage represents all of the duties and the responsibilities that you're doing. You got a house, you got a family, you got all these things, but that passionate, sexual, intimate love that you used to have for that person dwindles away because we've disconnected and we haven't understood how to keep that fire burning. And I'm here to say, and we're here to say, that even when that fire goes out, there is a way to reignite that fire. There's a process, and that's what we teach. So if you're dealing with that, definitely reach out to us.
There it is.
Janice says, how can my husband and I schedule a consultation with you? Easy. You just go to couplesacademy.org and you can set up a discovery session. It's right on the first page right now. Guys, we are in the middle of a complete oversight or overhaul rather of our website. So you will see a lot of transition happening over the next few weeks. But for right now, on the landing page, right under the first slider, you will see a button that says schedule now. That's where you can get your free 15-minute consultation. Thanks for that question, Janice. LaShawn says, where's LaShawn? Good morning, my favorite power couple. Thank you. Okay.
Glad you're with us.
Let's go to JD. What video do you have that addresses your spouse feeling unheard and feels they go along to get along? I think that's just.
I don't know if there's a specific video on that, though we can create that as a topic that we talk about on this show. Mm-hmm. But, we do have a communication series that we've done. We're always constantly talking about communication. And that's one of the areas that we generally cover, but certainly we can go deeper dive into that particular space.
Yeah. Okay. Facebook user says, after infidelity took place in our relationship, my feelings changed for my partner. How do I get turned on sexually? It seems like I don't have the passion and desire because of the cheating situation. Yeah.
Sexual intimacy is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And we've noticed that couples oftentimes react differently to infidelity. Some couples go into sexual overdrive, right? So if they didn't really have a sexual connection before, now they're having sex every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. And oftentimes that's done because the hurt spouse is in essence trying to compete with the affair partner. They're trying to overcompensate for what wasn't in their relationship. They're trying to keep their spouse from leaving. So let me give you what you went out to get because you weren't getting it here. And that is a season that lasts for a period of time. And then things significantly shift because you realize, wait a minute, what am I doing? This isn't working. Mm-hmm. Then you have other couples who become asexual. Like, I'm not touching that. You're not touching this. You can forget it. I can't even think beyond what you've done. The pain is just so I don't know, so strong, so powerful. I don't even know what to do. And then there's other couples who do engage in intimacy, but it's very triggering. And so when you're engaging in it, you're thinking about what your partner said. And did you respond like this? And did you do this position? And well, how is his or her body? And all of these different things go through the mind of a person when they're trying to restore the sexual relationship. And that's why this is something that you cannot do alone. You need help. There's all types of counseling for that. That's what we do as a part of our recovery process, because when we go through those steps, sexual intimacy is a huge piece. I mean, even outside of an affair, we know that sex is one of the things that couples struggle with anyway. But when you bring an affair into the situation, it just makes it that much more complex. But it can be restored, but it takes a lot of conversations. It takes a lot of work and therapy individually as well as collectively. And it takes time. Okay, takes time. That's another thing. So all those things together is the perfect storm for a transformation.
Absolutely. Corliss says, the spouse continues to think, fake it till we make it type of craziness. Don't dig too deep. Leave some of this alone. They don't want to dig deep, but they want to get things better. But some things they just don't want to do. Well, I mean, there's no way things are going to get better unless you dig it all up and pull it all out and take a good look at it. And that's what we do. The process requires unearthing everything that you buried, all the secrets, everything that you've hidden, and coming completely 100% transparent about it, allowing your hurt partner to look at it, see it, process it, accept it, so that once and for all you could deal with these issues and bury them and move forward. If you're still holding things, or if your spouse is still holding things from you, it's going to make it very difficult for you to move to a place of trust, because you don't know when something's going to erupt, when some secret's going to come out and shock you in the middle of the night, in the middle of the streets, or wherever you go. And so it's really important for them to understand that they need to be completely transparent at this stage.
I totally agree. And, a lot of times people are asking questions about their partner. I want you all to start asking questions about yourself.
That's good.
Because really, there's nothing you can do to change your partner, but how do you adjust and pivot and change and transform through what you're going through? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Nemo says, how do one deal with fixing a relationship after infidelity? What can be done if it's difficult for the other person to move past it? Take it, Hassani. Oops.
I'm sorry. I need to see that.
How does one, deal with fixing a relationship after infidelity? What can be done if it's difficult for the other person to move past it?
Oh, well, counseling, guys.
Yeah.
Counseling. Listen, I know it's redundant. I know it sounds like a broken record, but you cannot do it alone. You need a third partner. You need a support system. You need a community. We say this all the time. It takes a village to raise a child. Likewise, it takes a community to keep a marriage intact. So you've got to get the help that you need.
And it's the same thing with this last question, Andre. What can you do to help your marriage because the communication is real bad? Counseling. That's it. The thing, we go to school, we get our education to become doctors, nurses, lawyers, pediatricians, and dentists, and all these things. Why do we think it's any different when it comes to our relationships? You just think about it. What did you come out of a home where your parents were in a perfect relationship? Did you have both your mommy and your daddy? Were they healthy? Did they do it all right? Odds are not. And even if they did, that doesn't mean that you're going to get it all right, because the common denominator there would be you, but the wild card would be your spouse. And so at the end of the day, you've got to learn how to communicate with the spouse that you have, which means you need counseling, and that's your education. So come get it at the Couples Academy. I know you like that.
I love that.
Plug.
That was a perfect plug. And it's the perfect way to end our show. You've been listening to the Couples Academy show on Friday when we talk about all things relationships. Listen, hope you have an amazing weekend. We will be back on Monday for another great series. It's a surprise. I'm not going to tell you about it. We'll see you then. Love you guys.
Can't bring us down. Can't nothing bring us down. Our love is too high. Bring us down.